You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Of the net.
It's the Premier League preview show with Chris and Craig on Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Right, Chris.
Good evening, fellow Fox fans. How are we doing? Welcome along. It isn't Chris and Craig. Craig is off in London tonight. We've got a replacement him. Very kindly stepping in to cover him. I've got a little friend because I'm going to say, how the devil are you? There we go. There she is. A little devil there. Nothing wrong with a little devil. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. How are you? You can watch us now live on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. Please get over there if you're not watching that way and twiddle me knobs, pull me buttons and subscribe to the channel and smash the likes. It all helps us out and supports the channel. Thank you very much. Facebook, it is Leicester Till I Die, the group, and Twitter, it is at Leicester TID. And if you are preferring to listen to us on catch up rather than watch us, we are all over the place with our podcast, Leicester Till I Die, on Google, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Anchor FM, Spotify, and Podcast Addict, to name just 6. So how are we doing? How are we feeling? Should I ask that? Should I? We had a very interesting show last night, it has to be said. We didn't lose it. If you haven't watched it yet, please go onto the channel and watch the post-match show. Bit of a special for you, bit of a special surprise. Brad sings. Yes, I know you're saying, what can be better? And why is he still here and not performing on X Factor? Have a listen and you might realise why. Oh, he's going to kill me. It is the preview show. Good evening and welcome along.
It's the Premier League preview show with Chris and Craig on Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Craig has dyed his hair and grown a beard. Brad, good evening. I'm sorry, the preview show does say Craig, so I can't. But featuring tonight, some people say he's Jesus, but he's not. It's Brad. How are you, sir?
I'm all right, Chris. Yeah, I thought about dressing up for the part, but I don't have a snazzier suit as Craig or the spectacles, so I can't really do the whole thing like this. Pretend like I'm dressed up. And the housemate goes,
I think you're going to start singing again if you do that.
maybe. Depends, I might sing the line out for you. No, I won't torture you that much. I won't torture you that much.
I haven't had a chance to clip it. If I'm totally honest, I had forgotten. I made a note there, clip. So, anyway, how the devil are you?
Well, I've calmed down after yesterday. I've calmed down after last night's fiasco of a disaster where Leicester crashed again in Europe, losing 2-0. And now I'm stepping in the shoes of Craig trying to preview a match, which is probably the least optimistic collective bunch the Leicester fans have been about a win for a long time against the Crystal Palace side, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm going to be totally honest with you. I had them down for to struggle this season. Palace. We'll have a look later, but maybe they're not going to do as bad as maybe I said they might have been. But it's. But I've got to say, the headline today, on just touching on the Legia Warsaw result, that Timothy Castagne's come out and said that they are angry at their performances this season. I mean, I would tend to say, well, bloody play like you're angry then, because at the moment you're playing like a bunch of sissies.
Well, I think if we tried our best to dissect that. I mean, I didn't give anyone the man of the match. I actually gave it to the away fans for travelling for that. But if anyone showed a bit of urgency, I did agree with the points that made. That at least Castagne did seem to have that about him to try and go for it. And it's not the first time he's criticised the team collectively for their performances. I think one of his statements was something along the lines of, I'm coming back into the team to eradicate these silly points that we keep dropping. I think it was after a draw last season. He'd come back from injury and he said, I want to stop these points being dropped. And he obviously is someone that plays with passion. And that's not to say that the rest don't, to start off with. I'm just saying it's nice to at least hear one of the actual men responsible for the result taking some form of initiative and saying, no, we're just so you're aware, we are, or at least I, speaking for myself, I'm very pissed off with the way things are going on the pitch. So it shows that at least it's not a case of it's all sunshine and roses and la 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 la, we can't hear you sort of thing. They know they're underperforming, which in a way is its own positive. That they're not just sweeping it under the rug and saying it'll come good. There's obviously something that they want to change to change the results and the fortunes of the club right now. Because right now, whether we think it's capable or not, they're in the bottom half of the Premiership and the bottom of their Europa League group. And that's just not the standard, the bare minimum standard that Leicester City as a whole set for itself.
I'm going to actually agree with you on that, and I'm going to read something out in a second. But I just want to do a couple of hellos and how the devils are you, first of all. If I can just get the comments. Or Andrew Medhurst said he's angry he didn't get a pay rise this week. Good evening, Andrew. How the devil are you? Christopher says probably lose again. This is Leicester. It's a roller coaster ride, but good evening, Christopher. Thanks for joining us. How the devil are you? And Andrew says here he's angry that Cameron Diaz hasn't returned his calls. I'm sorry to let you know, Andrew, she's ringing me. So I don't know. I'd give up on that. I wouldn't get to right. In my dreams. Good evening, Terry. Hope you got the dog under control. Yet again, after yesterday, Brendan Rodgers has said the players need to start quickly in the first half. We know that, Brendan. Go tell your players as well. Exactly. They are doing what what they're being told to do. But we do only seem to be getting out of the block in the second half. But, and again, I just want to read you this because, of course, those of you that know, sort of, I sort of do a bit on TalkSport, and Jason Cundy last night was in the Mercury, expressed some sympathy for Brendan Rodgers as he assessed Leicester City's early season troubles. After an underwhelming start to their Premier League campaign, the Foxes suffered a hugely disappointing Europa League defeat, leaving their hopes of qualifying for the knockout stage hanging in the balance. Cundy described the performance as shocking and says standards have dropped compared to last season when City won the FA Cup and now only missed out on a place in the top four. Some of the team's issues were out of Rodgers' hands, he said. He achieved what he could last season. The top four is probably not going to happen this season because the top four is probably the top four. But the standards have been set, and let's get it completely right, standards have dropped this season. I mean, and that's putting it mildly, isn't it? The standards this season, we've set ourselves low standards and failing to come up to them.
That's a very careful, a very well worded way to sum up Leicester season and reshuffled expectations for the season. I think one thing that may have been forgotten in the sense of how impressive our actions in the transfer window. And yes, I already know he's already the Southampton scapegoat that's been brought to the Filbert Street, apparently, because everybody's slating Vestergaard, even though he wasn't at fault for the goal yesterday. And everybody had a bad game against Burnley, apart from Vardy and the sub Iniacho and Loopman. So I don't know why he gets so much stick. I think it's probably because it's an area where in this opening period to the season, every error at the back seems to lead to a goal, and it's gone from Soyuncu to Vestergaard. It's the worst game of pass the parcel I've seen ever, because at one point Bertrand was included in that, and Luke Thomas was in that last night. He was in the firing line for a lot of criticism for his performance. So unfortunately, we've got a disaster bomb being passed around the back, and you'd really struggle to get away with that in football at the best of times.
Yeah. Andrew says here, 18 shots and no goals. I didn't realise this, Andrew, but thanks for letting me know. Yeah, Wilfred Ndidi is a doubt ahead of the match at Selhurst Park on Sunday.
Yes.
It's a very good question. What the hell is going on? Something's happening, surely, in training for us to get so many non-match injuries. It
sounds stupid and cliche, and it might sound like a cop-out, but it's just football. These footballers are under immense strain and trials and tribulations. I mean, we're only a stone's throw ahead of the days when footballers used to net 6 points on a Friday night.
The next 6 pints and still go out and play and on the Saturday, and sometimes actually win. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I get that, but in that era, that was the way footballers did it. They smoked a cigar, they had a beer, and yeah, some teams performed, but it wasn't too dissimilar to what football was like now. You had your clubs that you always expected to be nowhere near the top, but not go down. You had your teams that came up, came down, came up, came down, and you had your solid base of European teams that really did well. The majority of which are still in the Premiership. You know, I think aside from your Barneses and your Nottingham Forest and your Sheffield Wednesdays, teams like that, there's probably about 15 teams that are still in that Premier League era. Everything's changed and adapted. Liverpool have had it, Tottenham have had it, Arsenal have had it. Every team at some point, especially with everything that's gone on, more so over the last 2 seasons, has gone, why are we getting injuries? Why are we getting injuries? It's not easy to do. It's not easy to maintain your body in its peak physical condition that you need it to be in, that they expect it to be in. We don't produce blokes that have got a bit and know how to play the ball a bit better than your mate Tony down the park, and that's why they're playing football. That might be a bit drastic in comparison, but you look at the likes of Razor Ruddock, who made a career out of football, compared to the likes of Ronaldo. I know Sky might not mention him enough, so I just thought I'd bring him up on his channel. But in terms of the difference in quality of physique, they're both playing at Premiership level in their time, but both under completely different circumstances of how a player is developed. I mean, back in the 90s and 80s, in 23, 24, you still had 10 years on your career, maybe even longer, and you weren't expected to be the finished article. Now we're talking about 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, that if they're not making it in the first team of the Premiership, they're never going to make it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it comes with it. It comes part and parcel with it, and unfortunately,
I know what you're saying. Some teams seem to get more than others, though, and we will say hello, how the devil are you to Bikrom, who said Ranieri had no injuries, and Andrew Medhurst says we went the whole of the trophy winning season with the same 11 players. And I think the thing that, and I'm asking the question along with these guys as well, is we got rid recently of the physiotherapist, whatever I don't know his official title, that had been with us for years. Rodgers got rid of him and brought his own medical staff in. And suddenly, since that has happened, and yes, I know we had a short season last season and everybody was injured, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, if you get injured on the field of play, I get it. But you shouldn't be getting injured off the field of play.
Yeah, but the physiotherapist doesn't tell them what to do when they, in the sense of, he doesn't say, right, you've got this hamstring, it's a little bit tight, don't walk to the shops. And then, indeed, he rings them up and goes, Gaffer, I need to go out and get some milk. I've got to walk to the shops. I've told you. It's not like that. If he tells them, Lord, I don't really want you walking it, and indeed he decides, oh, well, I was going to walk out to my car. I'll be all right doing that, or something like that. Or don't exert yourself in training, but he gets a bit carried away and overexert yourself. You can't blame a physio for that. I remember the same discussions were happening with our recruitment years ago when we got rid of Steve Walsh to Everton. And everybody suddenly went, oh, since he's gone, our recruitment's gone down the pan. Well, no, that clearly shows you the line of, steps that are taken to get a player in, because the manager has the influence. At the end of the day, when things are going wrong, everything goes wrong, and everything suddenly gets examined under a microscope. If we were sixth in the league and had lost to West Ham, and maybe we did draw against Burnley or something like that, but we were sixth in the league and we were second in the Europa League group, we wouldn't really be that bothered. Because we go, oh, indeed, he might be out for this week, but at least Samore's playing. Oh, Evans is out again. Well, we can rest him because I've got faith in Vestergaard. Wouldn't be an issue, would it? It's because everything's going against it that people are looking for the red herring. And the red herring is these little tweaks and injuries, as if they're something that, as if Leicester and Brendan Rodgers are conspiring to break their own team apart. It doesn't make logical sense when you look at it from that angle, does it? If I said to you, Brendan's training on purpose to injure themselves, you're going to call me a moron. And that's how it's
I do totally 100% see where you're coming from, but it's just, it's the timing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
we seem to be getting more injuries from non-match day injuries than actual match day. Let's not forget I can't remember who it was, but one player injured himself dropping a shower gel on his foot in the shower years ago. So yes, of course, it does happen. Talking about things, coming and we do with Leicester tend to sort of, when we're down, we seem to get kicked when we're down. But apparently, and I've only just sort of realised this before we came live, and you hadn't seen it either. Leicester City and JD Sports merchandise probe. Let's just have a quick look at this. An investigation into Leicester City and retailer JD Sports has been launched over the sale of merchandise. The Competition and Markets Authority said it had reasonable grounds to suspect one or more breaches of competition law. It relates to suspected infringements regarding anti-competitive agreements over the sale of club-branded products in the UK, CMA added. The club and JD Sports are fully cooperating with the probe. Not all. The regulator said the CMA had not reached a view as to whether there is sufficient evidence of an infringement of competition law for it to issue a statement of objections or ultimately an infringement decision. Not all cases result in CMA issuing a statement of objections or an infringement decision. We will wait and see. All I know is that my local JD Sports certainly doesn't stop Leicester City things. I think it's just within Leicester, but it's just typical Leicester, isn't it? When it's going against you. For God's sake, Brendan, please do not take any players on the international break next week to La Manga. That is all I'm saying.
Yeah, let's not do warm weather training. Let's not do that. No.
No. B-Com says they would need to bring in a stretching expert, Vardy's groin, hamstring, etc. Look, I always try and put a silver lining when things are going bad. So let us refer to the good book. You know what I mean. Because I know you read it a lot, and that is the Leicester City on this day, and there's always some good news in here. So I thought I'd read this and we'll cheer us up. So, on the 1st of October, we have to go back along with this, 1938. Leicester City were on the receiving end of an 8-2 hammering at Leeds United. Oh.
Wow.
Maybe it's not all good news then, but hang on a second. On the 1st of October 2000, Leicester City ended the day at the summit of the top flight of English football for the first time since August 1963. The 0-0 draw at Sunderland and Thierry Henry's spectacular win against Man United meant Peter Taylor's Man, the team were top of the Premier League. So there's mixed results there. So,
Oh God, it's funny how you mentioned Peter Taylor, isn't it? After my chant yesterday.
Yeah, isn't it just? Isn't it just? Please, people, do go and watch. Honestly, I am actually emailed the BBC and I've tried to enter it for this year, next season's Eurovision. On behalf of North Macedonia, I have to say, not for Great Britain. Oh God, you're never going to forget that. Anyway, we've got a match coming up this weekend. Let's not forget, and it's a small matter of this. Sunday, 3rd of October, Selhurst Park in London, 2:00 kickoff. Hashtag CRYLEI. It's on Sky Sports live at BBC Radio Leicester and lcfc.com/radio. It's a chance, they always say, don't they, with football, Brad? It's like falling off a bike. Best thing to do is get back on it as soon as possible. And, we've got that on Sunday. But it's not going to be as easy a game as we thought, I don't think.
No, I think it's not just a case of getting back, falling off the bike and getting back on it. I think they need to change the brakes, the gears, the chain, and the tyres need pumping up or something, because it needs more than just a simple let's change the formation sort of thing, which is ironic when we get to it, talking about formations, but it's something that it's not just that needs to change. You can't just pick it up and keep going with it, because we're trying that, and guess what? We'd lost. We thought we could just pick up the bike, we'd play Liga Warsaw, we'd get a win, whether it was 1-0 or a comfortable 3-0 win or something like that. And then, we picked up the bike. It was the front tyre was buckled, the back tyre had the rubber missing and was buckled. It was that bad, and
you can't go anywhere if you got your rubber missing, can you? Yeah,
exactly.
That's kind of killed the conversation a bit, hasn't it?
That's what it is, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I think so. But I mean, I had just shows, and I often say on this program what I know about football, and just say a quick hello to Connor there. Thanks for joining us, mate. I know absolutely nothing about this game that we call football and the Americans call soccer, talking of Connor. I'd got Brighton to struggle this season. I'd got Palace to struggle this season, and neither of them are doing that bad at the moment. Last season against Palace, there was a different prospect, I think. We got a draw and we beat them 2-1 back in April. So 4 points out of a possible 6. But going into this match, Brad, the form there, suddenly, actually, when you look at it like that, Palace's form isn't 100% brilliant.
No, it's not. And they got a good result against Tottenham that's maybe helped mislead that a little bit. It's still a bang average side, but as we've proven against bang average sides, we can't beat them. So this has got another game, another test for Leicester, and it's another one where you feel that the first 35 minutes is probably crucial to who gets the result in this one. It's another one of them, like you said against Burnley, Chris. If Leicester find themselves behind, and we see deja vu happening for a 7th week in a row with in regards to how Leicester approached the first half. If you've ever seen paint dry, you'll understand. Then we could be in for another long afternoon, and then the questions really would start to go towards Brendan, because there's only so much you can share the blame between players and management, and make some added reasonings, i.e. with injuries and whatnot, before you start going, all right, mate, this is now on you 100% because you're refusing to change your part of the job in one way or another, whether that's, like I say, a different tempo to the way Leicester play, especially the first half, or a lineup of a different formation that works and doesn't and actually gets the results, because that's his part of the job. If the players turn up and we sit here going, well, the players put the effort in, but you can tell by the way he's asking them to play that it's not working, you get to that stage where you go, all right, then something needs to change. Otherwise, we're going to talk about a manager that no matter what he's done for the club, he's going to be told we need to move on. We need to go our separate ways, sort of thing. It won't be a case of sentiment and what he's done keeps me here. It'll be a case of, if you're not willing to do things, the necessary things to try and change that, we're going to have to look for someone else who's willing to do that and get the best out of this squad of players that we gave you.
Yes. Connor, please keep up your bad form going into our game in a couple of weeks' time. That'd be super. You did get on the winning way against Villarreal, and I've got to say, well done. And I know it was 92nd whatever minute, and Ronaldo isn't my favourite player, but I loved him the other day, stuffing Villarreal. Yes, serves them right. I hate them. Did I say that out loud?
I think you did just a little bit, mate. Just a little bit. Suggest you might have said that out loud.
I may have done. But looking at Palace, they got a draw with Brighton last time out. They lost to Liverpool. They did beat Spurs, but you've got to say who isn't at the moment. But they drew with Brentford, which, looking back at it, wasn't actually a bad result, really. And they managed to draw at West Ham, who stuffed us. So looking at it, breaking it down a little bit more, yes, the Spurs result is on paper a good one, probably actually easier in person, but the Brighton and West Ham results for them, looking at what happened against them for us, worries me a little bit.
I mean, yes, when you look at it in that aspect, it is a little bit taken to concern. But on the platform of it, if you look in Crystal Palace over the general, tends to be their results. They tend to have a pattern like this where they don't win too many, but they get a few decent results or points that turn out to look better on paper because Brentford got a better start or because West Ham have got a better start than expected. And then they probably have a point in the season as well where they, again, still struggle to win, but they're then losing to a Norwich, drawing with an Arsenal, losing to a Newcastle. And that's the sort of thing that I feel like that's typical of Crystal Palace in general. I think if you was to look at, break down their scale of results over a long period, at least over the last season or two, you would probably see that that's sort of where they're dropping the points. So it's not too much of a concern in regards to who they picked up points against. It's, are we going to get the Crystal Palace that continue picking up these surprising points and wins against these teams, or are we going to get the Palace that then run straight into the wall and slide slowly down it? Are we going to be the start of that? Time will tell. We won't know that till about 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, which side of it is. But it doesn't make me panic like seeing maybe a Manchester United or Chelsea coming here in that sort of indifferent form, because when a team like that comes to you, you think, yeah, great, that just means any day now that someone's going to get a beating off them, because that's the tendency of what happens with them sort of teams.
I mean, just looking at this here, and be careful. We're not building them up too much here, but the season so far, and I have to say these aren't stats, Brad. These are actual facts. But we're 13th. They're actually below us now on 15th. But that mean below us doesn't mean anything. That means we'll probably lose. They've won 1. We've won 2. They've drawn 3. We've only drawn 1. They've lost 1 less than us, though. They are scoring 0.17 average goals less per match, but conceding slightly less than us, and have kept more clean sheets than us. But they're creating, and this is the worrying thing, I guess. And you can look at these different figures, and let's be honest with you, politicians can take the same stats and make it look 2 different ways. But it's the chances created per match. 0.83 for us, 1.17. And, you know, you can't, I mean, you know, maybe I was having a pop unfairly at Vardy earlier on in the season, yet he's joint top now. But if he's not getting the supply, if he's not being given the chance to create the chances, he's not going to get the goals. And to me, that's a worrying stat, that we're creating less than one chance a match.
Yeah, and it's a bit worrying to hear them stats. But again, you know, that is because we are, and it's not a small secret for Leicester fans. A lot of people have agreed with us when we brought this forward. Sorry, a message just popped up. I thought I'd stop notifications. I don't know when it threw me off a little bit.
It happens to me all the time. Don't worry, mate.
Yeah. What was I saying? It's really throwing me off. Go away. Go away.
It's the missus.
Yeah,
you were saying we were saying about the chances per match, and I was saying about Vardy.
Yeah,
But
it's not surprising to see them stats if you really think about it, because a lot of people, and we've said this a lot on the show, and they've agreed with us, that Leicester have become predictable. In an essence, we are. If we was to really look at, and I'm talking clear-cut chances, I know that takes probably more into it, might be half chances. But if we're talking chances that you sat there and felt weren't just a shot in anger from like 35 yards going over the bar or anything, I don't even think we've even had them at that point. Is we're very predictable and we make it so that the teams that play against us know how slow and methodical Leicester are going to be. So they stick 11 men behind the ball. And in the end, we're kind of sat there in the 75th, 80th minute going, oh, well, I know we're going to get a chance, because every team gets a chance in the game, but we better stick it in the net, otherwise we ain't going to get anything from this result. And lo and behold, we have that one chance, we miss it, and the results are as they've been followed. So whilst it's worrying, it's also probably more worrying that I'm not surprised by it.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean by that. I mean, you know, looking at the table here, I mean, you know, last season we were sort of 4th or 5th at this stage, you know, and I know it's a case of, you know, we the more as fans that we get, the more that we win. And no disrespect to these fans, but you look at Arsenal fans this season, you know, throwing the toys out the pram, going absolutely mad because they lost the first few games. Man United, you know, a lot of their fans weren't even actually born before Man United was successful. So the more successful we become as a club, then, and you know, if we're going to be maybe not a top 6, but a top 8 club, maybe, you know, we're going into that. We expect more because we've had more.
Yeah, you know, with expectation comes more expectation, and that's just natural as football fans. I mean, maybe I'm biased here, but I feel the majority of Leicester fans have taken the success in recent seasons with a bit of a humble step, if you will, in the fact that we like to remind people that come on here and give us stick, or just in general, or fans that maybe get a bit ratty, rightly so, but get a bit ratty and maybe say things in haste, that we have come a long way. We're a club from humble beginnings, where, you know, we're a club that have been dealt hefty blows throughout the years, whether you're a new supporter or a long time support. I mean, you know, you've seen the rise and despair of your club, no matter how long you've been following it. And even if you're, say, a very new supporter, in the terms of you're a young lad or woman supporting a lady supporting a club, whatever terminology you want to use for them these days, so I don't offend anybody. Kids, there you go. I'll sum up in one word I couldn't think of there. That would have been the word to use, but wouldn't it? Supporting
just go gender neutral. I think that covers everybody.
Yeah. You maybe not actually experienced it, but you've probably been raised, and when you've asked about Leicester, especially when I was a kid, I wanted to learn everything I could about the football club, and to a point, the points that I knew. And I obviously, for those that remember, this will show my age, I had VHS tapes of like the 93-94 season, and I watched Robert and Joachim and all them play for the club. and I've experienced it obviously growing up, and you've learned about it, you've heard about it, you know that Leicester have been as low as League One and in the administration. We're quite humbled in going forward, but that doesn't stop the fact that we come to a point where after a few successful and consistent seasons of achieving higher than expected goals, probably I'd say winning the FA Cup last season was an objective that most people didn't think was quite achievable yet. I think we was hoping to get to sort of that quarter-final, semi-final stage and see where we're at. So I think a lot of Leicester fans would have liked the FA Cup, obviously, but wouldn't have seen it as an all-round thing. It's quite a hard cup to be a success of. And with that means that when we have a start to a season like this, it's like the injury thing that you brought up earlier, Chris. It goes under the microscope a lot more. A lot of people get more critical on the things that you wouldn't even notice if the results were going as well as they had been for the last two seasons. So people maybe just have to also remember that. And I wouldn't suggest that fans have to alter their expectations. I still think Leicester, because there's a hell of a long way to go in the season for starters, have a hell of a long time to correct and end the season in them positions and them expectations that we've set for this club and still have a very successful season. All we're doing as concerned fans at this moment is be the football manager from home, and we're trying to think of ways that we could improve the situation right now. And in Brendan, we trust and hope that he's doing that.
We can but hope. Terry said they're announcing the stadium extension to accommodate more fans was the kiss of death. quite possibly. Yeah. I mean, when you've had a bad run like this, I'm going to say bad run, but it is a bad run compared to what we've been used to. Are we better off playing a team like Palace below us, or would we be better off playing... I'm not saying a Brighton because we'd expect to be, or we should have expected to beat Brighton, but are we better off playing a Palace, or would we have been better off playing a Liverpool, Chelsea?
I don't think it actually matters, because I think if you play a Chelsea or a Crystal Palace or a Norwich, or a Newcastle or a team like that, or you play a Liverpool or a Man City, in the form that your club's currently in, no matter who you are, let alone Leicester City, it will be all for null and void and only end one way if they don't put in a performance to warrant 3 points. It might sound weird, and I know psychologically, people like myself like to break up the season, and unfortunately for me, international football does that for me at a time. But like you said, with Palace, maybe with the break coming, everybody goes, oh, you want confidence. Do you want to be playing the teams like Palace? And then people argue the fact that, well, if you play someone you're not expected to beat and you put in a performance and you might get a result, it does more confidence than beating Norwich easily, like 2 or 3-0. But I just say that right now, that I think the thing that Leicester fans want to see the most of all out of Sunday is a performance. Maybe not the highest of highest quality, because I don't think any team can make that rebounded jump, but a good performance, a solid defensive performance. And if they get them basics right, which is going to be key later on in this discussion, give it the basics right, the result will match your performance. And if Leicester fans get that on Sunday, it doesn't really matter who they'll take on, they will get a result, whether it's Manchester City or Crystal Palace.
I've got to say, Brad, is your clock about to go off? Because Terry's watching, so his dog probably is.
No, I've got the secondary light on, so don't worry, Terry. The clock's not going to ring and set your dog off, do that, Lee.
I mean, Terry makes this fair point, and I made this at the end of last season, that I was happy to be I was disappointed I wasn't in the Champions League, but in a way, part of me was happy we were in the Europa League, because had we made it through to the Champions League and got a hard group in the Champions League, I think some of those teams, can you imagine us going out and playing PSG at the moment? It wouldn't be
No,
1-0. It'd probably be 10-0.
Well, yeah, but at the same point, I also think it'd be the worst case of, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm really disappointed if we got a 0-0 draw with Barcelona with the way they're playing. I think that's how it would go for Leicester in Champions League. I think it would be the only time you look at Barcelona, get a draw and go, well, not me, they're managed by Ismail and his dog. Why are we losing to Barcelona when they've just been thumped by Benfica? But you don't know, that's the thing, and it's all well and good when it, like I said again, when it's going right or going wrong, how you look at it. It's all well and good saying, oh, well, it's going horrible, so it go horrible for us in Champions League. We could have shown Manchester United how to beat young boys, and we could have shown Real Madrid how to beat Sheriff and got a group like that, and we could be top of that. You don't know. It is how it is. And at the end of the day, there's no point trying to make comparisons to it like that, because if the players did that, I'll tell you this now, we'd never get out this rut.
No.
You
Palace is
have
a team
to learn to let it go in a way.
Let it go. Let it go. Get me singing now. Let it go. Palace, bit of a bogey team for us. We played them 18 times in the Premier League. We've won 7, they've won 8. I mean, let's never forget, as Craig reminded me the other night, when in the Championship winning season, when we were there, I think about 5 hours after the final whistle, still singing we're going to win the league. But those stats are pretty even. You couldn't get really much closer than that unless they were dead on. So we do know, we've been on the end of some hidings from Palace as well as dishing them out.
Yeah, a few big scores have gone against us. It seems to be the case when we lose to Palace. We lose in ingracious dig of losing 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. There was one where we lost 5-0 and we had a man sent off, and it was like a glue to goals in like 20, 30 minutes, and it was just so. Yeah, if that comes on, I won't be sitting here all calm on a Sunday afternoon when we're doing the post-match show, and I won't be having graphics because I'll be throwing paper at the cameras, mate, for you if we have a result like that. That is something that Leicester can avoid, because that will be a disaster. I think that's when I don't want a result like that, because I think a result like that can incur a knee-jerk reaction from those higher up, and that's something that worries me a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we're not talking about that. Hopefully we're laughing and saying, what were we worried about? We're back to normal, and Leicester get comfortable with.
Well, I've suddenly just realised why, and don't say that I don't bring you topical and relevant news items on here. I now realise why there is such a shortage of toilet rolls, there have been. They all said it was panic buying because of COVID. No, it wasn't. It was Brad buying them to throw them at the TV when he sat at home, isn't it? The truth comes out.
So. Yeah, very much so.
Sorry, that was a shit joke. Whee!
You get first. Yeah. You're gonna piss me off.
It's my toilet humour, Brad. It's my toilet humour.
Yeah, I know, right? But you just piss me off with these jokes.
Oh,
so that went right down the drain, didn't it?
Right down the pan.
Yeah.
Well, I got my tax refund, so I am feeling a bit flush at the moment. Anyway, let's stop this and move on. I'm dreading asking this. Sorry?
Go on. I said, this isn't Dad Jokes channel.
Oh, I think we should make one. We are having a joke show coming up soon, but there's plans on that. Well, there are plans. Let's put it that way. Anyway, let's have a look now, because we do this with Craig, and I'm a bit worried because we have a one to watch, and we look at picking one from from the opposition that's going to cause us trouble. I thought you might go for Jeffrey Schlupp, and then I thought, don't be stupid, it's Jeffrey Schlupp. But whenever he does it, he happens to hello, whoever he was there. Hello.
My housemates. I'm going to have to relocate so they can have the telly, so they don't have to sit here in silence. Bless them. But keep going, mate. Keep going.
Hello, roommates. How are the devil you? Yes, I'm a little bit worried, and I shall keep talking. I tell you what, while you're doing that, I will bring some breaking news, because I think it is time for the breaking news. And it is literally hot off the press. This Leicester City have just signed a new defensive coach. It's just been announced now. If you check it on the website, Leicester City have just signed Liam Norton as their new defensive coach. For those of you that don't know Liam Norton, apparently he's got really the best credentials for the job because he is the leader of Insulate Britain. And when he puts people across that road, nobody gets past them. So they've got him in there to actually sort our defence out. And if it means super gluing bloody Vestergaard's hand to the penalty spot, he'll do it. So Liam Norton there is the new defensive coach at Leicester City. And I don't know if Brad's back with us yet. Are you with us now? So did you hear the breaking news? I don't think his sound is working.
No, you're correct. It wasn't.
It wasn't. No, I'm quite correct. No, did you hear the breaking news?
Yeah, I did, mate. I heard that as I was relocating to my office.
Yeah. Liam, I say nothing. Let's be honest with you. Nothing gets past those protesters. We should get some of them in our defence. I think it would. Couldn't be any worse at the moment.
Or maybe we could get the people who built the Wall of China in.
Yes, yeah. But like I say, back to your part now. Are you comfy? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I am now, mate.
One to watch. We decided against Jeffrey Schlupp, but you've gone for this gentleman.
Yeah, I've gone for
the right button. Yeah.
Yes, I've gone for Eduard, who Leicester fans surely will know. We were linked with him not just over this summer, but we were linked with him pretty much as soon as Brendan said "I do" to the answer of "Will you take the job?" at Leicester. He was instantly linked with a move from across from Celtic to Leicester. It never appeared. It looked like it was going to appear this year. A bid apparently had been accepted, and then some daft "We hate Brendan" clause was added, so they changed their mind. And he's now playing for Palace. And of course, what could be worse than having a dodgy start to your season where you're relying on a world-class 34-year-old to score your goals because apparently your top goal scorer from last year can't get in the team, and your new signing hasn't got a game yet in the Premier League. What happens? He goes and scores 2 against Tottenham Hotspur after about 3 seconds of being on the pitch, and every man and his dog says, "Oh, we should have signed him." I think he's one to watch because you can guarantee if he sticks the ball in the net, Leicester fans are going to go on saying, "Oh, see, Rodgers should have just stopped being so arrogant. He should have signed him. He should have put the deal in or whatever." And he's one to watch for probably not the reasons that Craig picks his one to watch. He probably picks one to. He'd probably, I would say, try and avoid the obvious in Zaha, which is another one that maybe would have come up. But I think he's one to watch because I think you'll see either why he's not a Leicester player because he won't get picked to start and he just had a brilliant impact, or you'll see him throughout the 90 minutes and really get to judge why Leicester's scouting decided against the move for Eduard, whether it was deal or, whether it was this silly clause that was rumoured to be the thing, and that's the only reason we didn't get him, or you're going to see frailties to his game. I say that, obviously, people might laugh at that because of the defensive frailties. There's a frail defence is in such a state at Leicester that it might not come to that one, but he's one to keep an eye on because he's going to have the pressure on him. This is only his second game since joining for Palace. It's not like he's been scoring since week 1. He finally made an appearance and came on against the shambles of a Spurs side and grabbed 2 goals. Yeah. Didn't Chris Wood score a hat-trick on his debut for us, but then only scored like 3 goals for us in the Premiership? It doesn't show that when you have a great debut, things always go swimmingly for you. He might argue he's at Burnley scoring their top goals, but he's not living the levels that were needed to play for Leicester City. And I've just got this feeling that Leicester might just have him on toast. at the back. And I know people aren't going, Brad, are you serious? After the ratings you've given them in the Europa League in the first 6 games of the season, you're going to tell me now all of a sudden the defence is going to shape up and have one on the toes? Yeah, funny enough, I actually do, because I think so much emphasis on him to back up the performance with a team like Leicester, that if they can shut that door for the first 20 minutes and say no one's coming in, no goals, thank you, you're not turning your way at the door, sort of thing, that when they settle into the game, Leicester, they'll find their way on top, and then all of a sudden there'll be way too much expectation on his shoulders, and we'll see why we chose Daka over him.
Well, just to say, we have had the kiss of death already, because Mark Lawrenson has actually predicted us to win 2-0. So you know it's not going to happen. And he said, Leicester are having a great time, are not having a great time at the moment, but Jamie Vardy has started scoring again, 3 goals in his past 2 games, which makes me think their form is going to impress soon. Now, he always does it up against a non-football celebrity, and he's actually, I've never heard of this guy, but apparently Michael Venom Page, aka MVP, who's a mixed martial arts star. Mixed martial arts, it sounds like something you get on a Chinese takeaway menu. But looking at him, if he says whatever score he says, I'm going to agree with him. I'm not going to argue with this guy. But he's actually gone for Palace 1-0 win. Leicester been dropping a lot of points, so I fancy Palace, but only just 1-0. And if that's what Michael says, Michael, I'm going with you. I'm going with you. After a 4-game winning win against Leicester City, Crystal Palace have failed to win any of their past 4 against the Foxes in the Premier League. That probably means that the duo win over us. But here's the good news, Brad. It's about as good news as I said earlier. Leicester have lost each of their past 3 Premier League away games against London sides. And have lost as many,
doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I love these stats because BBC bless them, pick the best ones out. Right, well, we're going to go on now. We've got score predictions coming up at the end. We got past the one to watch, and I'm just going to, if Eduard scores against us on Sunday, I'm dropping the whole thing. I am never doing that section ever again. We're going to be going to go and try and pick a team for this weekend, and we'll do that right after this.
Kevin! That always makes me chuckle.
It does. It makes me laugh as well. You gotta love a bit of Jamie, haven't you? You gotta love a bit of Jamie. Right. Okay. So now this is the team that, when we used to do this last year with Craig, he used to pick the team that he thought Brendan would pick. But I want you to pick a team, Brad, that you would love to see tomorrow, taking into account injuries. So we can't pick, say, for example, Ndidi or whoever. So you cannot pick teams that are actually injured. But it's the team that you would like to see play. Yeah. That said, we did that last week with Craig. We got 10 out of 11 right, and we still couldn't beat Burnley. So I don't know what that says about it. But further, what formation would you like to go for?
Yeah, funny enough, Chris, I've kind of done both. I kind of prepared for both, and I will show that in the graphic at the end and probably explain my choice I'm about to make now. Because although it sounds basic, there is a part 2 to this formation. But the basic starting formation of how I want Leicester to line up is 4-4-2. Yeah. And like I said,
I was just hoping then that the formation you'd chosen was one that was there.
And obviously it might sound a bit basic, but when I go into a bit of detail with my little sky graph here, I'll show the compacted differences between what we're currently using and why I've changed to this one and how it will change, like in attack. For example,
to be totally honest with you, mate, you'll never get any argument from me for a 4-4-2. It kind of worked for us at the back end of the season, and why we haven't gone for 2 up front with whatever behind. Well, we've had that conversation many times, haven't we? But so 4-4-2 it is. But I take it you're going I suppose it's no secret who you're going to go for in goal. I'll take it that it's Eldin Jupokovic, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously I've gone for Eldin Jupokovic. How did you know? No, obviously I've gone with Kasper Schmeichel.
I just know these things, mate. I know these things.
I know, right? I've gone with Kasper in goal.
Right, there we go. Can see who it is now. Okay, so let's start with the two central defenders. Who are we going to go on the right centre back?
I have gone with Kaglar Soyuncu as the right centre back. I know it's not really a lot of fans might say with regards to if I put alongside him that they would switch him, but there's something that stuck in my head that apparently when he's alongside his centre-back partner that I'm going to put him with, assuming he's fit for the game, is when he plays on the right side alongside him, he actually seems to have a better game. So I've gone for that one, but I'm fine for people's opinion to say that they'll be switched, but I would go with Cags on the right-hand side.
I mean, I think Craig made a very good point a while ago.
Yeah, I think it was Craig, actually.
That he actually plays better at them because he was having a torrid time at the start of the season, Kaglar. Not only just for us, for Turkey as well. I was suggesting, as I always do, take him out, give him a rest, take him away from the crowd. Brendan didn't. Brendan's put him on the right rather than the left, and it's meant that he's just had to keep to the his basics. He's not had to do the Cruyff turns. Terry says he can't wait to see where you put Perez in this. That is going to be interesting. I think he's probably going to put Perez in a room with a big lock on chain on it so that he can't get out. And we will never see him again. And we've got to say a very hello, how the devil are you to Scott. Welcome along, Scott. Have you got a note? You're late. Hi, Chris. Hi, Brad. Hope you're both well. Can Brad please rectify his formation? I missed it.
No, I can't. I will rectify it when it comes to it.
Yes. It sounds very painful if you're having your formation rectified. You can get pills and a cream now. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Right, sir. Who are we
just
going
let
for?
Terry know. Just let Terry know. I have got a little note here now. I've just remembered. I've just written Perez down in my tactics book. That will come up for him, especially just at the end of that part when we get there.
Oh, I have a feeling I know where this might be going, young Brad. Right. Who are you putting alongside our Turkish delight?
Our Northern Irish friend in Johnny Evans. Tell me he's Northern Irish now. I always get them too mixed up. Don't make me look like a prat now.
He's definitely Northern Irish, yes.
I always think, hold on, no, is it Republican Ireland he plays for? I always don't know why. But yeah, assuming he is fit because he was left out of the last couple of performances.
Well, apparently, I've got to say, just checking now, Leicester City pair Johnny Evans and Wilfred Ndidi are both unavailable. So
right, then it would obviously be Vestergaard. I'm afraid I have to go with what's fit. I did make this sign with.
You did, yeah, you did quite right as well. You can only go for who is fit. Vestergaard and Soyuncu over Amati in there at all?
Yeah, I just feel more comfortable. I don't think Daniel Amati's ever done too much wrong. But I don't want to play a three at the back, and it's the only way I think Amati fits in there. And the only way Amati looks more solid in a back three is if Evans is fit. So if he's not free, there's not a chance in hell I'm putting him in a back two. It's two centre backs that we've got, and that's what we've got as our options. I can't really go either side of that. So it has to be Vestergaard for me. Ideally, I would have liked Evans, but knowing that information, I will now just change that one over there to that, so I know he's not available.
Yeah, I mean, Vestergaard can't have as bad a game as he had midweek, and we're back to the Premier League that he knows very well. I think you say there's a lot of players can't play as bad as they played midweek, and he hadn't been looking too bad. And You know, he isn't Fofana. And let's be honest with you, once Fofana's fit, whether Evans is or not, Fofana's going to be in that back too, isn't he? So, you know, it's a case of he's in there. The other option, I don't think Benkovic is in the squad, is he? He's in the European squad, but he's not in the Premier League squad.
I wouldn't pick him anyway, mate. No offense for him.
Oh no, of course, no. I'm just thinking of options. So for left back,
I'm going to go with Ryan Bertrand, left back. I think he's been reliable.
Yes.
I think when he's had a bad game, he's not been the only one. I know it doesn't excuse it, but he's been more reliable than not for us this season, and that's not a thing you can say about too many Leicester players, in my opinion. But yeah, so I've gone with Ryan Bertrand at the back. I think Luke Thomas has done well, but he was accelerated into the team, and I still feel he's got a lot to learn. And I think people are arguing about a settled back four. Well, I think, or back five, or whatever their defensive eight, or whatever it is they want it settled. And for me, I think you have to settle with one of your wing backs at least. And for me, that has to be, for this season, predominantly, it will have to be Bertrand for me. So, yeah, I've got Ryan Bertrand on the left.
I would agree 1,000%. To me, I think Bertrand could end up being our surprise signing of the window, and that's saying a lot when you look at who we've signed. He's got that experience. Notice when he didn't play midweek that we were struggling to get the ball past the first man at corners and free kicks again. He's got that. He's got the experience. I've noticed. He talks a lot to players, and he settles them down. He's got that, experience, and he's next to an ex-teammate. So the two of them on that left-hand side together should be in the operative word here, be able to sort of get things together, shouldn't they?
Yeah, you'd think that. And to be honest with you, I don't want to sound harsh to lad, but with JJ reportedly a few weeks away from being either back in training or potentially ready to be considered for selection. I know Rodgers or it was either Rodgers or the Leicester website themselves announced that last week, I think it was, that he had about 4 to 6 weeks left. Wasn't too clear on whether, like I said, that was until he's back completely or if it's just back in training. But I feel then when that side's going to get a bit overloaded, that either you're going to find that Luke Thomas either has a season to learn on the training ground pitch and gets limited minutes to maybe not very, you don't think you'll get a lot of minutes overall when JJ's back and running alongside Bertrand. Maybe even a case of in January he goes out on loan to a team in the Championship that aren't having the greatest of time, and he can impress there and get his confidence up and be back ready to compete for it next season. I think because he was sort of grabbed by the shirt and chucked into the first team, it not in the most ideal way, and he's handled it well. I'm not going to say he's not. It's not like he's been an absolute disaster. He's actually been quite a success as a left back. But I think maybe it's not always a bad thing to sometimes revert back to where you need to be, and that might be just spend the next 7 months, Thomas, learning on that training pitch each week, learning and watching JJ develop and watching Ryan Bertrand and listen to what these players are saying. And I'm not saying he's not already doing this, but I think it takes the pressure of him not expecting to put that instantly, what he's practiced onto the pitch straight away. I wouldn't be against thinking if we've got two options, along with more Castagne as a viable option who can play on that side if worse comes to worse, that you can afford to allow him to go and develop his game in the Championship, as we've seen before with some of the players we've got in this squad, and gain that experience as well. I'm not suggesting dropping to under 22s. I don't think that's going for him.
I'm wondering whether, with Thomas, he's had his loan spells in the past, of course. The thing with JJ when he comes back is, we've seen Maddison. He's come back, but it's taken him a while to find his form again. And I think he actually had a decent game when he came on against Legia, and it's the same with Ricardo. It's the same with Castagna. They've been fit enough to come on, but they've not got their form back, if you like. So it's when JJ finally does come back, it'll be like a new signing when we get him back. We've almost forgotten about him. But he will still have, yes, he'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks. But I think he can probably add another 4 weeks on the top of that before he's probably, fully match fit and what have you. So it could be interesting. This, I'm wondering if we're going to disagree on this one. But I mean, at the end of the day, we go with you because you're picking it. Your right back, sir,
is Timothy Castagna.
No, we agree 100%. Yes, well done.
Yeah, I don't think Ricardo. I don't think, to mimic what you've literally just said there about when JJ does return, I think Ricardo isn't quite back to his full flair best. I think he's still struggling, maybe psychologically, to get over that injury. I think I've mentioned it a few times. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but sometimes he doesn't always seem to commit with 100% to his movement off the ball or his attack going forward. Maybe he's got that injury in the back of his mind still. He's not wanting to do too much demanding. Not to suggest that he's not giving Leicester 100%. That's don't take that out of context. But in a sense that he in that back of the mind, he remembers that injury and am I strong enough? Can I really go at that full power? And right now, Timothy Castagna is probably one of the few that shows that he's up and down that right flank, and he's doing the job on that right side for me that Leicester need, and that's why I picked Castagna over Ricardo.
No, I completely agree with you. It's going to be, I mean, how often have we when simple, but we've fallen over in ice. And then next, we go to, walk into the shops. We go out the shops, and we're on ice again, and we're like, and we're a little bit like, be careful we don't fall again. So it's only natural that these players are gonna, like you say, have that at the back of the mind. Right, we're going to look at our midfield four, and we will look at that straight after this, because we've got this coming up on Sunday night. And you'll be back with us then as well, Brad?
Yes, I will be. You've not got away from me this week, have you? You adoring public.
Why don't we just move in together?
Well, then questions would be asked.
Talking of JJ, good evening, JJ. Welcome along. Thanks for joining us. I hope you got a note. You're late. But how the devil are you, sir? I hope you are well. If we play the same, I expect us to 100% lose, probably 3-0. I don't think we can. I don't think we can play as badly again. That's put the cat among the pigeons, hasn't it? Let's start with the centre mid here, then, Brad. Who are you going on the right centre mid? Well, it doesn't really matter, they can swap, but your first central midfielder.
Knowing the information I've got, it doesn't actually change too much. I thought I was going to have to make a complete change at the last second sort of thing, but it doesn't really change too much because I'd still have Youri Tielemans as the right midfielder in this scenario. I think out of all that midfield, minus Ndidi, who unfortunately is not available for selection, as you've informed me, who not to maybe give a spoiler to that side, would have still got in my team, but he's probably been the one that's in that middle central part of it, has done more good than bad for, i.e. bad passing, giving the ball away. He's made some quality passes. He's got some assists this season. He's probably the one that you think, okay, you're starting to get there. At least, like you said, with Vardy and his goals, Kalichi playing, etc. I think Youri Tielemans over the last week or so has been one that you look at and go, all right, it's not always coming off, but it's starting to come off more. I think there's been more positive points to his performances for me. So yeah, I've gone with Yuri Tillemans to be one of the midfield centrals.
Is Yuri undroppable?
Not if he has a bad game. He's just as susceptible to being dropped as Maddison is, in my opinion. I don't like the term undroppable. You can only really use that. You've got to be careful when you use that. For example, is Jamie Vardy undroppable? On the form he's in, yes. Is he undroppable? No, not really. He's not. He's not undroppable. Is Yuri Tillemans undroppable? On his current form and form of other players, no, he is undroppable. But is he undroppable as an actual out and out player? No, he's not. He's definitely someone you could drop. And if this is a performance that doesn't get up there in like the sevens, you would argue that that's a position that comes under threat.
He was probably one of the few players that was half decent midweek. And in deference to Craig, who obviously isn't with us tonight, but as he always says for Tillemans, he is kind of like Brendan's general on the field, if you like. And especially for Craig, he's a bit like a quarterback. So I've got to get that in there. Just in case you're watching it, Craig, that was for you. Now then, this is going to be interesting. Because you normally pick Ndidi, which makes me think, no Maddison, but you can't pick Ndidi because he is a little injured. So who are we going for?
I know he didn't have the best of games. He actually probably had one of the worst games I've seen.
Oh, sorry, my finger slipped there. I do apologise.
Oh, who was that you put in? Who are you swearing at? Don't swear at me. Don't you dare. I'll get off the channel. You have to do the rest on your own. It is now. That's Amore. No, Lead Balloon. That. Oh, I'm sorry. I did get sleep till 2 o'clock in the morning. I think you were saying it like that. But no, it's Amore.
That's Amore.
It's an obvious choice because I obviously had originally Wilfred in the lineup. He was my obvious choice. I just go light for light. And I'm sorry, I know he had a good performance when he came off the bench for me, but you'll understand when the system's explained at the end and I get given the floor, as Chris would like to say, whilst I'm still going for that more player who's probably got a bit more defensive mind about him. I think that might give you a little inkling of where I'm going with this. But yeah, I'd go with Tamore partnering Yuri Tillemans.
Tamore, I think, is the natural replacement for Wilf if Wilf is injured.
Especially with Mendy not being with us at the moment, being out on loan. So
to be honest with you, I would have kept Mendy and let Chowdhury go, but hey, like I say, what I know about football, you can write on the back of a postage stamp. We're going to say hello and how the devil are you? And if you know me, mate, and you know my attempts at making pronunciations of names that are slightly different, you'll know that I'm useless. So I don't think I could even attempt that name. Proswell, let's leave it at that. Hiya, welcome, thanks for joining us. Benkovic should be given a chance instead of Vestergaard. I think if Benkovic had played more, possibly. I think Benkovic is just going to be... he's not in the Premier League squad anyway, so I don't think he couldn't be picked, But I think he's there purely as a... If we're that desperate with injuries, you might get a game, mate, But
maybe.
Yeah. Now then, the left of midfield. Who are we going for here?
I'm going with Harvey Barnes. I thought it was actually criminal that he didn't play on. He didn't play yesterday. I'm completely baffled how he doesn't start. Especially with his European record for us, it was baffling. And as much as I like the options we've got on the left, in good old Kevin, or as Jamie likes to shout at him, Kevin, I just feel for the way I'm lining us up and how I would suggest they go about their business, Harvey Barnes is going to be the man to do that with what I would be asking him to do in this lineup.
I think
so yeah,
if
it's
we
not
weren't
bad.
playing this weekend, as in, there was a break for you, whatever, we might have seen a different team. Do you think Brendan's looked at this and he's trying to use the squad? He's got all these players. Yeah, he's got to give some of these new signings a game. I think as well, there are certain players that couldn't play on, let's say, for example, probably Jamie couldn't, and if he was fit, probably Evans couldn't do Thursday and Sunday. But then you've got to say Barnes is a hell of a lot younger, and he should be able to play in a couple of games.
Yeah, he should be. I feel that the players like himself. I mean, we say, oh, Barnes, he can't play every week, or they can't play him every week. Kagler Sunchu, Kasper Schmeichel, it's goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That may be a bit different. Kagler Sunchu, Yuri Tillemans, Jamie Vardy predominantly plays every week.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason Harvey Barnes can't play on a Thursday and be up for it and ready to play and give us his all on a Sunday. As I'm sure he will if he's selected.
Yes. Now then, if you want to make me happy, you've got to go for on the right here, but whether you will or not, or whether I'm going to mute you for the next 10 minutes and not let you show your amazing graphics, we are about to find out. On the right side of midfield, who are you going to go for?
Adam Arnold Upman. We haven't got a single other player. We haven't got a single other player in that because you want me to. I've just done some police investigation work, mate, and I've found the signs of where I think we should leave Perez on our travels to Crystal Palace. If you just want to quickly show where I think the Perez should be, if you just want to bring me full screen, I found him. That might come up backwards to you lot, but if that gives it away,
it's readable. That yes,
that's where Perez should go. That's how far right Perez should go from this team. Go and watch the Napoli. Go and watch the Liga World Shore post match because that'll explain everything from my humble opinions on Perez, without spoiling it. Because I'm not going to spoil it for you. Go and check it out. Go and hit the like button while you're there.
The thing is, though, with Leicester City, of course, if we did try and get him into Australia, we wouldn't have the right paperwork.
No, probably not. Although at least he'd have to quarantine over there at the moment. I know that because of the Ashes debacle that's going on at the moment. So at least we'd be allowed.
The Ashes at the moment.
Apparently, well, their idiot of a captain or wherever he is, that the wicket keeper's come out and said it doesn't matter if they want to travel or not. The Ashes is going ahead, and he's just made an idiot of himself. But apparently it's going ahead. I know ECB are saying it won't go. We're not sending our players if they can't at least have families because with the 2020 stuff and everything else, they'll be away from their families for 4 months, which I think is understandable. Yeah. More understandable than what the rugby Australian side did, refusing to travel. But who am I to judge?
That's cricket. Like you say, we'd probably lose anyway. But I agree. I mean, Dorco said, good evening, Dorco. Our wing is necessary because we have no big strikers for them to cross to. Well, you've got a right-sided midfielder and you've got a left-sided midfielder in a 4-4-2 there. They're not necessarily wingers, are they?
Yeah, see, wait till my big graphics. I've got this big footballing brain of mine will blow you away with how I actually structure them, or it'll have you laughing at me. I mean, I
wonder sometimes about if you could blow your nose, Brad, let alone blow you.
If it was made of dynamite, I still wouldn't have enough, mate. I'll tell you that much.
Terry's there. Anyway, we're coming to strikers. And talking of strikers, Wilfred, and I dread saying this because you know what's going to happen. Wilfred Zaha has scored 49 goals for Crystal Palace, and he could become the first player in the club's history to reach 50 goals in the top flight. You know what that means, don't you?
Yeah, he's going to score. Yes, so at this way, Eduard scoring a hat-trick and he's scoring a goal, so Leicester are going to win this game 5-4.
I'd take that right now, mate. I'd take that. Right. So, first striker.
The man himself, the man on form, the man with 5 goals in 6 games, Jamie Vardy. Get him in that team.
Sorry, I was hovering over Perez then when you were building the part up.
No, we're going to fall out, mate, and it'll be me muting you. in a minute. Keep it in his
I'm sorry,
Perez
I forgot. And he's in Australia, isn't he? He's not available.
Yeah.
You can't. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, I did criticise Jamie early on because he didn't. He wasn't on form, and let's be honest with you, he was missing. And you've got to say with Jamie, half the time, if we're not getting the ball to him, he has some of that, quite often the fewest touches. But again, it's Jamie Vardy. He proves me wrong, shows I know absolutely nothing about football, and he's gone there and he's joint top of the scoring chart.
Yeah, and when you say the words undroppable, right now that is one of them that I would give you, saying, yeah, right, he is undroppable, because he is in top form. I think there was a lot of Leicester fans, I'll hold my hand up, including myself, this season, that thought maybe Jamie Vardy would start being the rotation striker. It certainly isn't the case, because he's the only striker that Brendan plays at the moment from the start. So obviously he had to make it into this team regardless of how many strikers picked. I think I could have picked just one and I wouldn't be saying anyone else on form alone at the moment.
Portugal is suggesting that you pick Vardy and Nacho. We'll find out in a minute. More breaking news. Terry has just given me some breaking news. I don't know who you have gone for. We're going to find out in the moment. But if you had gone for Inacho, apparently he's eligible to play now as well. God, it gets even worse, doesn't it? Because apparently Leicester have forgotten his players' pass to get him into the ground. Like it, Terry. Boom, boom. Well done, Terry.
No,
You're here all week.
No.
Right, sir. Okay, we've got one position to fill. We've got Schmeichel in goal. We've got a back four from the left of Bertrand, Vestergaard, Soyuncu and Castagna. Some of these places are obviously filled out of necessity rather than choice. Cross the midfielder, and I think you've got the best midfield at the moment that we've got there, Brad. Barnes, Sumare, Tillemans and Lookman. And of course, you'd probably have to put Ndidi in instead if he was fit. Vardy, totally agree at the moment. And as much as I criticised him earlier, and he wasn't, let's be honest with you, he was missing what, and that was my problem with him. He was missing shots that last season or the season before that, that would have gone in off his arse, and he was missing them.
Yeah.
But as Jamie Vardy is Jamie Vardy, he proves us all wrong and he keeps going and he's back. But, and we know it can't be Perez because he's in Australia. Who are you going to play alongside Mr. Vardy?
I'm going for Kelechi Iheanacho. It's just
both of them.
Right now he is the man that needs to be alongside Vardy. I know a lot of people want to see more of Daka. This isn't the occasion for him. I think you need to give the man in form. The man who's getting goals and assists is Jamie Vardy and Kelechi Iheanacho at the moment. And they need to be starting together. Fans want to see it. It's amazing. It's ironic that we're playing Crystal Palace because if you said we drew with them in December 1-1 at Crystal Palace, didn't we? He infamously missed the penalty, Kelechi Iheanacho. And I think at around about that game, a lot of Leicester fans had lost faith with Iheanacho. At that point, it just shows that, what a lot of banding together and reinstalling his confidence into him, and what a good job the backroom staff and Brendan Rodgers and the lads themselves have done to get him not let a moment like that knock him back too far. Because in that short space of time, since that day where he missed a penalty which would have won us the game against Palace, he is now a player that we consider should be starting every week. And that's the reason I think a lot of Leicester fans may be contentious with my midfield or back four in terms of numbers, but they're very happy probably to see that I've got Nacho into my side because he's the man that literally less than just over 12 months ago, mate, was given up by a lot of Leicester fans. It just shows you how things can change in such a short period of time, doesn't it? If you think of it that way.
I agree, and I think what's annoying for me is, and I'm an old bugger, so I do like the 4-4 bloody 2 formation. But what annoys me is that it worked so well for us last season at the end. Yes, we had the odd blip like Newcastle and what have you, but overall, I don't think we would have finished 5th if it hadn't been for Inacho coming in. And like I say, it was it wasn't Brendan sat there with his team going, I've got a great idea, let's try this out. He did it because Barnes was injured, Madison was injured. So he had to do something. So he kind of stumbled on it. And when you stumble upon something that is so obviously working, so obviously goes for you, what do you do at the start of next season? You drop it. No, you don't, Brendan. You stick with a winning foot. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And that 2 up front was not broken. Far, far from it. And why have we not? And I'm going to get a rant now. Why have we not seen it? Enough this season. This is what frustrates. As much as I love Brendan and what he's done, and I don't want him to go anything like that, he does frustrate me. People say he's stubborn, but when you suddenly discover something like that, and he could have come out and went, yeah, well, I'd got that planned all along. It was a great tactical decision, wasn't it? And we'd all have gone, yes, Brendan, of course. Anyway, I agree with you, and I think I'm a bit worried because I agree with you with virtually all of that team. So
it's worrying times when people are agreeing with me 90% of it.
When we agree together, that is worrying for a start. But
yeah,
I do know now. Oh, I've got to say, and I hope you got a note here, Maisie. But hello to you. How the devil are you? And it's an excuse just to do this again. Hello, Maisie. Hello. I have actually got a little devil that is actually called Maisie. And I'll bring Maisie on for you. There's Maisie. She's doing a great show. I think it's tonight. I retweeted it in support of female cancer support. So make sure you get over to the Devils United channel and give that a watch and support her doing that, because some of these things do go beyond just football alone. So give her a support. Are you on about me or the graphic here, Maisie? we need a jingle to be made with her laugh for Palace. I think obviously it might get to the point, Maisie, where I'm doing it for Leicester. I don't know about anybody else. And Scott says, I thought you only had a rant at the start of the show, or changing your own tactics now. Hey, a change in tactics, Scott, every now and again keeps people on the toes. You don't know. Yeah. My rant comes out when you least expect it. You could be sat there and then suddenly Chris's rant appears. So you can never be safe. You can never be safe from Chris's rant. What else you can't be safe from is Brad's amazing graphics. And I believe, Brad, that you have got some graphics to back up your team selection here.
Yeah, I do. I don't know how I'm going to do this on the screen, but you have to bear with me. I don't know if any of you can see that. That's the basic way that Leicester tend to line up in a 4-3-3 formation. I have put the initials down there to show that it was pretty much the same team that I picked throughout it. The biggest problem that Leicester have at the moment, and what I'll draw for you is, as you can see with that team, when I get the camera angle right, is the centre-backs tend to do a lot of sideways passing. They tend to go a little bit too sideways.
I hadn't noticed that.
Right? And I think the problem that they have with it is, unfortunately, it's so slow and methodical. And I will just draw it off camera here, that the ball moves side to side between them. Wilfred and Didi then goes from where he is, and obviously this will be, obviously this is a team selection, but I'm drawing the team that they usually pick. Wilfred and Didi normally finds himself that little dot there. He's so close to the centre-back pairings that when the wing-backs try to go forward, there's a massive gap between himself and the likes of Madison, who's on the other side, and Yogi Tillemans, who are our middlemen. And what that means is, by the time we finally get the ball, after piddling around with it, passing it between our back two, our wing backs, and our central defensive midfielder and Ndidi's, by the time we get it into these areas of any threat, the top three here, Lukeman, Barnes, and Jamie Vardy, well, they've just been completely marked out of the game. They'll have want 2 people marking there, I'll have 2 people marking there, I'll have someone behind Maddison. And Jamie Vardy will have normally 2 people around them. I know it's a bit difficult to see, and I am doing it in haste, but you see the squiggles that I'm putting around them. Luton might have 2 people, Barnes will have people cutting him off. And what then seems to happen is Leicester get to about here and then realise they've got to go all the way back to their back line, and we have that collective drone. See, now the reason people might suggest that we need to go 2 up front, and this is why I come into it with my tactic astuteness here, is if Leicester play with a bit more dynamic plays, and I'll just do it this way so I'm not drawing lines all over. Trying to do it this way is a bit difficult. But if we get the ball out to our defence and still play it out, if Timothy Castagne, or if it's on the other side, it'll be Bertrand, push forward, and if Ndidi is the one that fills in and slots the gap as we go forward, I don't want the wing backs playing as overlapping. I want them as advanced wing backs. So I don't want them pushing too far up. I want their recovery work to be able to come back and defend, to not completely kill them out through the game, because I think they can come back quicker and help our defensive situations if we get caught out in a quicker build-up play. But what it is basically utilise Ndidi is sort of the Kante role, where he'll go forward, he will move the ball onto Youri Tielemans, and he will drive forward to get forward. And in doing so, what I'll allow him to do is he'll then have the options of, say, Iniacho might drop a bit closer and sit around the edge of the box, so he's got him as an outlet. He maybe finds a killer through ball for Jamie Vardy to run onto. He then has Luton and Harvey Barnes, who were used in the transitional period of building the attacks by being out wide, but they both would have come into play. They both would have come in from the wing position into more of an attacking midfield role, or inverted forward if you want to. And when they come in, then that means that then Youri Tielemans then has the options to spread the play to the edges of the boxes or just outside. He's got the options to go forward directly to Iniacho and Vardy in the middle, but he also has Wilfred Ndidi as his insurance policy, sort of sat on a halfway line, depending on the situation, where if it's needed and you've still got your advanced wing backs alongside him in that line, so you've got Ndidi probably sat about there at this point, and you've got your wing backs either side across that line, that if we need to quickly rotate and they've got men behind the ball and start and drag them out a bit more, we're not going back to Schmeichels and putting Vestergaard and Evans under pressure with a ball down there for someone like Eduard to put pressure on them. We're only going back here, which forces their 9-10 behind the ball to come out. And then literally, as soon as Ndidi gets it and they come charging out to try and close it, or in this case, it will be Samari because Ndidi's not able to play, he just plays a ball. And then Castagne can go a bit more forward if he plays Castagne. And then he finds Adamana Lukman, who will become more of a inverted forward, as I said. He wouldn't be so close to Vardy. He'd probably be more left wing, right winger / inverted forward. And again, it keeps the intensity of players coming up. And it means that Castagne, instead of potentially Leicester getting caught out in that final third and losing the ball, and Castagne and Bertrand getting caught out very high up at the pitch, because they're only playing as advanced wing backs, they're not asked to go too much further. They're there for the ball to get recycled, put in, and pumped into the box, so that Tielemans, Iniacho, Vardy, and then the other side, so if it's Harvey Barnes putting the cross in, Luton then makes his way into the box to either get on the end of a cross to the back post, or if Barnes overhits it, he can then recover the ball and put it into the danger zone again, and vice versa. It just shows to me that if we're a little bit more creative and we have that anchored position with Wilfred Ndidi, where he's obviously, it will be Samore, but ideally it will be Samore or Ndidi that picks up that ball, because I've seen this so many times this season where the likes of our creative attacking players are picking the ball up and they're practically in the face of, Luton's practically right in front of Castagne, Barnes is right next to Bertrand or Thomas, and it's probably what's the point in Youri Tielemans, our attacking player, or Maddison picking the ball up on the edge of our own box and having to run for it? If we play in that system where we've got the anchor with Ndidi, he marshals it, and the wing backs play as advance, like I say, not overlapping, I feel like we've got that control, And we've got that ability to recover the ball quicker if we lose it in areas which we have been losing it when going forward. And Barnes and Loopman have proven they're versatile to hold it out on the wing in the build-up process and then going for the juggler, getting in. You know?
I think next week, Brad, I'm going to get you an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, it would be easy. I could do a Sky one.
What we actually need, I absolutely love that, and that is, as Luca said there, and how the devil are you, Luca? Welcome along. I mean, that you succinctly put it, and as Scott says there, send it to Brendan. Luca said we should have you on tactics. I think we need to get you one of those little whiteboards stuck on your wall, and then you can pick the phone up, turn the camera, so as you're actually doing, you can film what you're doing on the board. To be honest with you, mate, what you just went through then made absolutely total sense. But that doesn't mean that Brendan's going to do that, of course. But it does make perfect sense. And like we say, we know this has worked well for us. Why doesn't it go? And that certainly was excellent. It was excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe not quite up there with Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville just yet, but
yeah, well, I didn't have to spit at my housemates to come up with the idea like Jamie Carragher, so I just came up with this about spitting at somebody.
You say that. We shall find out one day. Yeah. But no, excellently put, sir. Excellently put. We do need to actually find a way of doing that. Like I say, possibly a cheap whiteboard. Do they sell them in Poundland? I think stuck on your wall. And
they possibly do. I'll see what I can do over the next coming weeks or so to see if I can get that done, so I can maybe do these sort of things.
Right. Coming to the end now. Score predictions. Now, when we did our show earlier in the week, Tuesday, seems ages ago now, we actually, Brad and me, we both went for a draw. But then we also do, obviously, the Leicester City, or Leicester Till I Die, prediction league on the longball.net.
Yes, we do. Which you can still enter and catch up in, by the way. You can still catch up and enter in the way. I'm just letting people know, mate. All they need to do is create a free account and just let us know how you use
There are certain people here that you can catch easier than others. Let me just leave it at that. Yes.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I'm that prologue. I'm the intro level that gives you the easy win to catch up, and you can be ahead of me.
You are the Arsenal of the long. But hey, I can't say that anymore. They're above us. You are the Norwich.
I'm more the Burnley. I'm more the Burnley of this division.
But I tend to. I do the prediction show on the Tuesday with you, and obviously we have a guest on every week. But when I come to do the long ball, we actually have to pick the score, because obviously on the prediction show, it's just win, away, home, wins, or draws. I actually end up sort of covering myself and going for a different result. Now, I have gone, and also, of course, on the website, leicestertillidie.com. We haven't got them all in yet, because Taggers is in, Jerry Taggart's in Turkey, and Ian Wilson, I think, is a bit busy at the moment. So we're just waiting on those results, predictions to come in. We do have on leicestertillidie.com the X Foxes Prediction League. Now, I have actually gone, although I went for a draw in our prediction league on Tuesday, I've gone for a 3-1 win to Leicester, because I always think we're going to concede. With our defence at the moment, it's going to go in off Sahar's arse or something. We know that. Ian Marshall's gone 1-1. Steve Walsh has gone 2-1 to Leicester. But Steve Lynix has gone 2-0 to Crystal Palace. Which way are you going to go, Brad, on this when you got to predict an actual score? Are you sticking with your draws?
As much as I hate to say it, unless something changes, it's going to be a difficult game. I'm going to kind of do what you've done, probably, mate, what you say you normally do when it comes to making another prediction on a different thing. Is I've gone for the draw, because I feel that that's probably the way the game will go. But I think Leicester need maybe a nitty-gritty game that gets some goals, but reminds them they've still got to do a job at the back. And I'm going to go Crystal Palace 2, Leicester City 3.
Oof, a high-scoring game. My
Yes.
heart won't last that game. I'll tell you, that was up there with the 5-4 you joked about earlier. Scott says Jamie and Gary need to watch out because that made more sense than they ever have. Chris, you need to be careful. Your tactical genius, i.e. Craig and now Brad, will be getting poached. Tie them down to bigger and better contracts. Hey, I tell you what, even if a contract means nothing, because they can go on strike and still walk out on me. I love that. I absolutely love that, Brad. I'm going to leave this. This is the question I'm going to leave us with. This is the last thing now, and then we'll call it a night. And this is kind of, when I wrote this question down, I felt a bit stupid writing it down because I think when players are fully fit, we probably all know what Brendan will go for. But do you think he actually knows his best 11 at the moment with the new players coming in?
I think he's got some idea, but I think if you listen to what he said about the signings when they initially signed, you get a better feel that you had an idea how Brendan was going to use them. In some regards, I would suggest more with Vestergaard. Unfortunately, he's probably featured more than Brendan was anticipating having to use him. He was definitely, he wasn't a signing that was first on the list until that injury in the friendly happened to Wesley Fofana. I think he's, in terms of the players he's got available to him, he knows his preferred 11, but I don't think I think he knows his strongest 11 with what's available. His preferred 11 is probably not fully fit.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. In a weird sort of way, if you want to look at it, I think there's probably somebody who hopefully will start to find his way into his 11. It's, the way we talk about Iheanacho is it's almost like he's begrudgingly finding his way into the team. The way Brendan seems to pick him, and then not pick him this season. But again, I think with what he's got, it's the best 11 he can do. It certainly shows that when you told me about 2 injuries, I had to make 2 changes to my lineup, then it didn't really affect it. I think the good thing is I wasn't hearing indeed he injured and then scratching my head, who do I put in? Who's really going to do a good enough job? Do I really have to put Mendy in there? It was a straight, it'll be a Samore. Evans isn't fit. All right, then it's got to be Vestergaard. No matter what you thought of his performance in midweek, it's got to be Vestergaard, because I'm sorry, you just don't find a way for the other available centre backs to be playing in this scenario. So I think that is probably, he does know his strongest 11 that's fit and he's able to choose from.
Yeah. Brad, thank you so much for coming on and standing in for Craig. We have seen tonight, you are outstanding in your field. Where that field is, I don't know, but if we ever find it, we'll let you know. Hello. That was brilliant. I did love that. And it's back to basics. This is proper football. This is not whiteboard stuff and did he get Gary Neville sticking his finger on a screen and dragging it across and the line follows his finger, or putting a line down and doing anything else with the line. So this is proper football for the fans. Pad and paper, that's what it all comes down to. Cheers, Terry. Hope your dog made it through the show without going mad. Brad, I will see you again on Sunday.
Yes, you will do, mate. You'll see me Sunday, hopefully finding out that Brendan gave me the phone call, asked me tactic books, and I'll have to resign because I'm going to join the Leicester board in tactics.
I hope you're not going to be coming on just ripping up the paper and chucking it all over because it's gone wrong.
Don't, mate.
Have a great weekend, mate. Thank you so much.
I will do.
And I'll see you Sunday at 5 o'clock.
I will see you then, mate. Hopefully, we're talking about a more positive Leicester result. And thanks everybody for joining in.
Please. Cheers, buddy. See you then.
No worries. See you later.
Hey, thanks to Brad. That was brilliant. And, you know, he did. Was it me or did he make total sense with what he was saying? God, I never thought I'd say that. Brad making total sense with what he's saying. He kind of did, though, didn't he? But we're back with this with Brad. We're going to be back, say, 5 o'clock. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff. Don't forget, it's on Sky, Sunday at 2 from Crystal Palace's ground. We will be back at 5 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everybody. Is this the week, and I know I've said this a few times, is this the week when we actually start our season properly? Fingers crossed. If you like the music that you're about to listen to, by the way, good friend, part of a band called Princess of Maine, M-A-I-N-E, Princess of Maine. He's got a YouTube channel. He's very kindly given me all his music and allowed me to use it with or without vocals on backing tracks, etc. for some of the music I use. So thanks to him for that. Don't forget that if you're going to watch this back, YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV, please, if you haven't yet, subscribe and hit the likes button. It really does help the channel and helps us move forward. And if you're listening to us rather than watching us, and I don't blame you, to be quite honest with you, you can find us Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Apple, iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, and Podcast Addict, to name but a few. And say goodbye from my little friend Dave the Devil. There he is. Bye, Dave. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming in. Like I say, have a good weekend, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 o'clock. Stay safe. Thanks a lot.
That's all, folks.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all their social media platforms for the latest updates and news on Leicester.
I'll be back.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.